Good day, Essex. It's Andrew. And while it's been a little bit since I've made a political video, um, I watched Council on Monday, and some things came up that I felt compelled to speak about. So I hope I have your attention on this. It'll just take a little bit. Um, Now, Monday's council session was very important because they had it billed as
But this is the first public report following the successful closing of the sale of ELK Energy Inc. It provides the community with a complete picture of the outcome of the transaction, the full financial results, and recommendations for preserving the remaining proceeds for the long-term benefit of the town.
right? So this is why I watched Council on Monday, and I've seen a lot of the posts from the Tuesday morning politicking, and we did a great job, and we realized the gain on the sale of ELK, and we're gonna invest this money to do some amazing things. But there was a segment in the discussion that really touched on me, and not in a good way. Um, it seemed to me like Ward 4 Councillor Hammond, who, you know, was being disrespected. And he was more interested in the first part of the transaction, the disposition of the assets, rather than the investment decision and how we're going to use the money received. And perhaps that's why some of the people around the table um, were rushing him along, and it was not a good thing. I'm going to play the clip for you, and judge for yourself. But I want to say, like, I respect my elders, and when an older person is talking about history, you're either going to learn something or there's going to be a joke. So I was interested to hear what Councillor Hammond had to say, and then all of a sudden everybody around the table starts interrupting him. So watch this.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Hammond.
Thank you. And through you, Mayor, I would like to speak about the sale of our utility company because I lost an uncle on those hydro lines many years ago while he was trying to provide the service to his neighbors. I remember numerous times sitting at a dinner table with in the lineman's house when the phone would ring.
Councillor Hammond, I'm sorry to interrupt. Is this related to our investment strategy?
Yes, it is.
Okay, I'd ask you to please show us how.
And many times they would have to leave in the middle of the night. They didn't have a truck with a mechanical arm or a man lift to take them up to the problem. They had to use a belt and strap some spikes to their feet and climb a pole. Back in the day, every town, every municipality had their own hydro company. 2000, Essex, Leamington, and Lakeshore decided to combine their efforts rather than get gobbled up by bigger electric companies in an effort to maintain their fees. 2008, Essex purchased the shares from Lakeshore and Leamington at the cost of $12.8 million.
Just a point of clarification, Leamington was not involved.
I mean, Lakeshore and
Kingsville, correct.
For 62% of the shares at $12.8 million. By adding our 38% shares, that brings the total worth of the company at that time.
Can I just call point of order? Can we get some clarification on how this reflects on what we're doing right now?
Well, I'm trying to illustrate our investment, what we said we made, what we actually made, and why we're investing our money now. It says we purchased it for 13 million, but actual value at the time was 20 million. We sold it 17 years later for approximately the same price. We did not make any money on this deal.
So, Councillor Hammond, I'm not sure that you have proof. What you're saying is actually hearsay. It's not. Right now we're talking, we have several council members who are calling point of order, and as well as myself, we'd like your comments to be directed to the investment strategy in front of us.
Okay. I'm in favor of the investment strategy. I would just like it to be pointed out that we did not make any money by purchasing and selling the company. The value of the company when we purchased it entirely is very close to what it is now, what we're selling it for.
Okay, CAO Drusevich.
Through the chair. So I would encourage council to review the financials that were adopted earlier. Within those financials is a note that discloses exactly the gain that was recognized on the purchase. Director Rowe, can you provide that information? And maybe we could just give her a few minutes. But it is very clearly laid out when it comes to record keeping. The amount of money in and out must balance. That's why we have audited records. And the value is what someone is willing to pay. The fair market value is what someone is willing to pay. So the town, if you're saying they were willing to pay 20 million, that is not what we paid for it.
No, we paid for somebody else's shares. We had our own shares already. They have a value. The shares we bought were valued at 12.8. What was our value at that time?
Okay, Director Rowe.
Thank you, through you, Mayor. So included in the audited financial statements that were received just prior to this report, we show proceeds of approximately 23 million and a resulting gain of 11.1 million. That represents the book value that were in our audited statements and the corresponding gain that we received as a result of selling the shares of ELK.
Okay, I do have other council members that wish to speak.
Now, firstly, I can't find a flaw in Councillor Hammond's logic. I've got the Excel here, and let's go over the math behind this. So, at the time of purchase, I think he said the year 2000, Essex, okay, had 38% of ELK, and they bought the Lakeshore 24% and the Kingsville 38% for $12.8 million. And so that was the book value of the purchase on our books at the town. And that's all that they've had on paper for all this time. But what Councillor Hammond is saying is that's incorrect. You needed to make like a mark-to-market type adjustment to reflect the 38% already owned by Essex. And so the quick way to do this is to just take the purchase price and divide that by the percentage that was acquired. And now this is the total value of the company at that time, which is, like he said, about $20 million. And if you just take this number, quickly, this number subtracted by this number, and that's the Essex value, which is probably identical to the Kingsville value, right? The 38%. Where is the flaw? We did not make an $11 million gain on this transaction. It doesn't, right? It's not there. And yet they're just flippant, let's move on. This doesn't have, this doesn't hold water. Let's move on. And it's never mentioned again. However, this could have significant implications. Now, I don't know one way or another if the town somehow pays capital gains tax, or like having a capital gain of $11 million on the books, is that a good thing or a bad thing? You know, does the town want to show, whether for accounting records or the newspapers, I don't know, do they want to show an $11 million gain, or do they want to accurately reflect, you know, the purchase and sale, like Councillor Hammond said? And we really did not make any money. It was pretty much a break-even transaction after 15 years or 25 years of ownership, whatever it is. Whatever it is. So that's the number one thing. I can't find a flaw in his mathematical logic, that, you know, showing the this gain. The other thing that upsets me about this is think of it from Councillor Hammond's perspective. Maybe Sunday night he calls up his aunt. Hey, Aunt B, I'm gonna be talking about ELK. It's the first time we've seen these numbers publicly, and I'm gonna give Uncle Ray and his fellows a little nod. To the people who helped build the company. I'm gonna say a little something. I'm gonna prepare a 30-second speech. Well, that went out the window. Everybody interrupted what he was saying, and disrespectful. His 30-second speech, prepared speech, turned into 4 minutes because of all the interruptions. And subsequent to that, the last thing I will say is, what's the last thing I gotta say? Oh. For the rest of council session, Councillor Hammond was dejected. He looked embarrassed. He looked like, because of all these interruptions and people questioning his integrity, people questioning what he was bringing forward, and is this relevant, and can you get to the point, and rushing him along. He was so embarrassed. I don't know if it's embarrassed, but he was so dejected that he didn't contribute anything else for the rest of the evening. And that is so disingenuous from the other people around the table. Your Ward 4 councillor got disrespected, and he was contributing something meaningful. Not only that, it was basically his responsibility as a councillor to point out any sort of financial discrepancies or other things to bring to attention. And turning an $11 million gain into a break-even transaction sounds pretty meaningful to me, but everybody else just wanted to gloss over it. Okay, one last thing, real quick, to finish it up. I did a little research after the fact, and it does seem like the municipality does not pay capital gains taxes. So they can reflect whatever capital gains they want, and it should not negatively impact. However, there is this. Ontario has a transfer tax of electricity assets. And I wonder if this is taken into account. If somebody from the town is watching this, or Sherry, if you're watching this, can you get some clarity? Did we pay the transfer tax on ELK assets, or did we recognize these exclusions? Or where are we at here? We have some exemptions if your utility has less than 30,000 customers for another 2 years. Your tax rate changes from 33 to 22%. Is this why there was kind of a rush to sell ELK? Because there is this kind of a limitation of the taxes on the disposition of the assets? Just some clarity, please, if you could. Because this is the first time I've heard of it, and none of this was declared publicly at the council session, whether we're paying this transfer tax or not, and what the rate is, or what it isn't. Thank you. Have a great day. Thanks for watching if you stayed to the end. Cheers. Bye.